Recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And you are live with Relics Radio again. It is Thursday night, June the 28th, 2018. And we've got a real special show lined up for everybody tonight. I am your host, Digging with Seven.
And I am your co-host, Tennessee Jeff.
And we are just two rednecks
with a metal detector.
There we go. We've had some storms, haven't we, Jeff?
Buddy, we have, unfortunately, one of our good permissions that we got, one of our colonial permissions, the old home site, it had a lot of big oak trees in the front yard, and it uprooted a couple of those yesterday evening around 5 o'clock, and today we've been cutting up wood and trying to clean the yard up and stuff. And, of course, I'm looking at the root balls trying to find relics. And he's like, well, stop looking for relics now. Help me cut. And of course, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Hadn't found none yet.
No. Well, there'll be some under there, I'm sure. I posted a little live video on Facebook yesterday. Our tornado sirens were going off, and we had a monster-looking wall cloud that came. And I stayed out there for a little while, and then the wind started picking up, and I come in the house, and it blew everything off of our porch, all the furniture and everything. And I had been in the creek, and I wear a size 13 tennis shoe, and they were soaking wet from being in the creek. And it blew them off the porch and blew them about 100 feet probably to the end of the drive. And, it's a good thing I wasn't in them.
Oh, yeah, it's a good thing you're wasn't in them. And, that takes a pretty good gust of wind to blow some wet shoes off the porch.
It does, I tell you. Who we got in the chat here tonight, Jeff?
Well, right now my chat evidently is locked up. I see no one in my chat. So. Oh,
really? Well,
yeah.
It was a little bit. Larry Stevens came in first, and then Ohio Relic Hunter. Mark Hoover is in. Dennis is in. Bill Hayes is in. Jesse Rogers is in. Jim Bonita is in. And Ringfinder is in. So we've got a few. Let me refresh my Spreaker, and if I lose you, just call me right back. Okay, well, we'll do that.
Oh, there he goes. I've got it now.
Okay, good.
There's Forrest. Yep. Ringfinder. Yep. Mark Hoover.
And Barb is in the house.
Hello, Barb.
Barb said, I
see everybody now.
Yeah.
Larry Stevens was the first one, yeah.
Yeah, Larry Stevens was the first one, and Larry doesn't live too far from us, and he said, yay, rain. Yes, we have. We have got a bunch of rain. There's no doubt about it. And we needed it. I tell you what, the ground was like concrete. I dug a little bit maybe Monday and Tuesday, and the ground was hard, so we needed the rain.
Yeah, it sure was. And then, of course, right now we could bottle some water up and send it to places that need water. So, I mean, that's if y'all need some water where you live, just call us. We'll bottle you some water up and send it your way.
And hey, brother, I missed you last week. Not saying anything against Heath Jones, but it's just not the same whenever you're not in here with us.
Well, I was at that little festival we go to every year selling bags of ice, and I buy them here locally and take them out there and sell them. So, I mean, it's a good deal. We made a little bit of money, and I had a good time doing it. So, I mean, it's just, we do that, well, actually 3 times a year. And then, but I missed being on the show. And, of course, down there you don't get cell phone service or anything else. I mean, as soon as I got back home, I got all my emails to go through, and then, of course, everything else.
Yeah. Jeff was off down there with hippies. Hippie Fest is what he is at.
Yep. It's called Summer Solstice in Red Bowling Springs, Tennessee. And, I mean, it's a good place. You've got some real great people down there. And, of course, I mean, you've got some strange people, I'll go ahead and say it. You just have to, I mean, it's all in good fun.
Well, Heath and Scott, they were down in Alabama. Of course, that's where they live. And they put a picture up, and there was a bus, and it was all painted up, all flowery and rainbow. He said, the Rainbow Children, you know. And I said, yeah, they're headed down there where Jeff is at Red Bowling Springs at the Hippie Fest.
Do you know, I seen that where they posted that, and I was looking for that bus all weekend. I was like, well, surely they was coming up here. And no, I think they were going to the Bonnaroo we have in, Murfreesboro, down around that area.
Yeah,
of course, I've never been down to that one, but
no, I hadn't either. But it's a big event too, you know, every year. And and we live in music country. I mean, you know, in and around Nashville, it's all about music down here. So you have a lot of those festivals and you know, those outdoor events and things like that. Mm-hmm. Hey, guys, we've got a good show tonight. We have got Rob Johnson on. You know him as Spud Digger on YouTube. How you doing tonight, Rob?
I'm just awesome. Thank you for having me on the show.
And as you can tell, Jeff, he's not a redneck, is he?
No, he's not a redneck. I mean, you can hear by the accent he's not a redneck. So
I love
what are you talking about? I'm from Southern Alabama.
Then you got to say "Roll Tide." Then
Roll Tide, baby.
There you go. That sounds pretty good.
Now you're Heath. Now you're no, you're good friends with Scott now, but Heath don't like it because Heath is an Auburn fan and Scott is an Alabama fan. But yeah, Roll Tide, and we want to thank Mark Hoover because Mark Hoover is the one that got us in touch with Rob and helped us schedule this show. And Mark's just a great guy, isn't he, Rob?
Oh, he's fantastic. I spent the weekend with him, and he's one of the nicest persons you'll ever meet.
We've had him on. We had him and Bill Marsh on at the same time, and they were great guests, and really enjoyed them on. What?
Yeah. Can I share a story about Mark?
Sure.
Sure, go ahead.
We'll pay you.
Great. Great. So I did a Spud Digger event at an old ghost mine. It was a kind of a ghost town, an old gold mine, and he flew all the way from Florida to Idaho, and we took him up there day early, and I go up there with the group, and he just comes around the corner with the nicest bottle I've ever seen from that site. And it was an old hair tonic bottle. It had a silver cap on, and he was just tickled pink. And I was so jealous because I'd been hunting that place so many times for nice bottles. And he comes around his first day and just, hey, look what I found. It's unbelievable. I'm sure you'll find it on his Facebook page, and maybe he'll post it again to show it, but it was the best bottle I've ever seen.
Young Jeff had a question about bottles, didn't you, Jeff?
I sure did. How many bottles do y'all get into in these ghost towns and stuff? I know I heard a story of a lady that would just drive up and down the road through these ghost towns, and then she found a lot of great bottles just on the side of the road. Now, I don't know if that was true or not, so maybe you can fill us in on that.
And I have heard of that up in some parts in the desert in Idaho, but in this particular area, I love finding a lot of tin because they didn't really have trash cans up there. They just kind of dug a big hole and filled it up, basically. And there was this one time I was out there and I found it was on the side of a hill, and I got a really good hit. And I was digging in, and I was just pulling tin out and loads of tin. And I thought, there's got to be a dump here. And I put my shovel in, and I heard some glass. So then I was really, really careful, and I pulled out, I think, 4 or 5 bottles, and they were beautiful. And the next time I was up there, I was on another hill, and the same thing happened. And this was my most favorite bottle of all time that I've ever found up there. It was a 1930s old Clorox bottle, and it still had the rubber stop in. And this thing was fairly big, and it was just beautiful. It's brown. It's on one of my videos. I just look at old mining town or ghost town, Diamondville, but it is the pride and joy of bottles that I found out there. It's just beautiful.
Man, it would be a great bottle. It sure would. And I mean, we've looked for bottle dumps around here. Of course, the only ones that I really find here are from like maybe the 60s, 50s and 60s. And I mean, they're there, but they're covered up with a lot of topsoil, I'm sure, right now. So we're just going to have to dig for them.
We've got a guest that's going to come on July the 19th that does ground-penetrating radar, and they're using ground-penetrating radar to find these, Civil War pits and huts and, trash pits and things around old houses. Now, that would be the trick, wouldn't it, Rob?
Yes, it definitely would. That's going to be an interesting show. I've seen a little bit of that on TV, and it's always interested me. Now, I would probably get some of my young kids to dig the holes. I'm a little bit too old to be digging that far down, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait to have him on. And I think, Jeff, that he's going to go to some DIVs too. And, if we have him on the show and get acquainted with him, maybe we can follow him around and
oh, yeah.
and dig a pit when he finds one.
That's right. I'll follow him all day long. And a buddy of ours, Johnny White, of course, J-Doug, he used to have one of the penetrating radar deals, and then he used it quite a bit and done real well with it. And I haven't seen him use it in a while. I don't know if he got rid of it or what, but he found a lot of pits with it.
I'm sure that you'd have quite a bit of expense buying one of those, but it would be nice to have one. Hey, Rob, where are you originally from?
Yes, I'm from a small town over in England called South Shields, and the closest biggest town is called Newcastle. A lot of people will say Newcastle Brown Ale. I'm not a drinker myself, but that's what comes from close to where I live is Newcastle Brown Ale, and I'm from England.
Wow. Did you ever metal detect over there?
I didn't, and I always wanted to as a kid, and I just didn't do it. And it wasn't until I came over to America, the land of the free, that I started to metal detect. Do you want me to give you a little brief history of who I am and where I came from and what I did over there?
Yes.
Well, yes.
Perfect. So as a young kid, I grew up, coal mine industry back up near Newcastle, and then not many jobs up there, so I joined the British Navy. I was in engineering school. I'm a weapons engineer. And I remember sitting in class, there was a class of 10 of us, and the officer came in and said, we need 5 for submarines. And just went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 submarines. And I was like, I don't want to go on submarines. I want to go on aircraft carriers. So, of course, when you're in the military, you don't have much say. And So I spent another 3 months in submariner school, and I just loved that. I spent 5 years on submarines and had a lot of fun, and it was just fantastic. And then I came over to America, and nobody really needed a weapons engineer to fix things. So I went into sales, and I've been in sales ever since. Been over here about 20 years. I used to talk a little bit differently than what I do. Nobody could really understand me. They can barely understand me now. So you may need a translator to help the listening public there to understand what I'm saying. But so yeah, I've been over here 20 years. I lived in Utah for a little bit, and then moved to Idaho about 13 years ago.
Man, that's great. Well, you don't have to worry about anybody understanding you. If they can understand us two rednecks, then they'll be able to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, they can understand us all right, because most of the people we have on are rednecks too. They just won't admit it, some of them.
Yeah, that's right.
I love to hear people from England talk, don't you, Jeff?
I sure do. And then it was a lady friend of Jennifer's, and she was from England, and I always loved when she'd come over, just hearing her talk. And I mean, it was nice hearing her talk. So.
Well, I could put a tape together for you guys. It'll only cost you a couple of $100, but yeah, I mean, I could read some poetry and recite some stuff. No, I'm only joking with
you. Yeah, you never know. Somebody may buy it, put it on the eBay, and hey, there you go.
Yeah,
it'll be a classic.
It sure would.
Hey,
Rob,
if somebody can record some raindrops and put it on eBay for sale, then I'm sure you can talk and you could sell that. So
yeah,
that's right.
What kind of metal detectors have you used, or do you use right now?
So when I got into metal detecting, I got a little Ace 250, and I bought it for myself for Father's Day, and I said, "Hey, honey, surprise! Look what I got!" And she just slapped me upside the head and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I've always wanted to do this, and I bought myself a metal detector." And so I went out there, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't really want to invest a lot of money just in case I didn't like it. And my mom, who still lives over in England, she's always interested in what I do. I mean, I'll post something on Facebook and instant like. I remember when she first got on to Facebook, I had 48 notifications. I was like, "What's that?" And it was my mom liking every picture that I'd put on there. So she stalks me. She's probably listening right now, so I better be careful, But she's always interested in the family because there's a distance, there. And I thought one day, I says, I'm going to start myself a YouTube channel. I'm going to go out every week and my mom can see what I'm up to. And so I started January 1st, and I went out. It was just a small little 2-3 minute video with the Ace 250, and then I got in with some other guys in Idaho, who the Desert Rat and Goondog, and they are fantastic. The Desert Rat, he was more of the research guy, and Goondog is kind of the coin hunter. He just finds coins all the time, and they took me to so many new places. So I thought, I'm going to upgrade to the AT Pro. So I got on the AT Pro, and that machine did very, very well for me. And then I went onto an MX7 just recently, about 2-3 months ago. And then I upgraded to the V3i, which I love that machine. It's a little bit complicated, and I have an engineering mind, but it's a little bit complicated, but I just leave it on coin and jewelry, and I've messed around a little bit on some of the settings, and that's a fantastic machine.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos where you were using that V3i Whites machine, and you made the comment, several times that you really did love the machine. I got tickled a while ago whenever you said that you had bought yourself a Ace 250 for Father's Day, and I did almost the same thing one time, bought myself something. And so you could say, like I said to your wife, you could say, to Rob, from Rob, with love. Hey, guys, we're coming up on a hard break and got a commercial. We'll be right back. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671 and be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. Some of the sites that you work out there, Rob, all of the ghost towns and the old mining towns and what have you, you do work in a lot of iron, don't you?
Oh, yes. And, there's a lot of tin, which drives you crazy. It sounds like a good signal, and you're fishing around on that, and it's maybe half an inch round, and it's just a piece of tin, and you're like, but there's a lot of iron as well.
Yeah. We've hunted some of them places, ain't we, Jeff?
We sure have. And then, of course, one of them was a steamboat captain's house, and unfortunately, the only thing we found was tin. But, no, we did find some pretty good relics there. I'm sorry. Let's see. Pull tab. Let's see. We did find a golf ball. That was a surface find. But no, we ended up finding another colonial site after that steamboat captain's house. So you never know what you're going to find.
And I did find a watchwinder out from the house. Yeah.
That was out in the middle of a 1,000-acre field, the only relic in miles, and then 7 finds it. And, I mean, it was in great shape. It was just like it was dropped yesterday. And I was like, well, wow. You dog, you. Here I am digging full tabs and peanuts and golf balls, and here he's finding watchwinders and stuff like that. So... But that's the way it goes. I was proud for it.
How would you compare? I'm kind of interested to know, because if I work a site, if me and Jeff work one of those sites that's got just a lot of iron in it, we love using the AT Pro. Of course, we've used AT Pro for a long time now. We've both got an Equinox now, and we really haven't had a chance to, we haven't even hunted together since we've both got one. But we've hunted those old iron-infested sites with an AT Pro, and it is a hard machine to beat whenever you're working in that iron. But I'm wondering what you think about the V3i in comparison to the AT Pro in those iron-infested places.
Yeah, that's a great question. I did a little test on, I think it's like 3-4 videos ago, and I found some lead. And there was a square nail that I found as well. And I thought, I had it on coin and jewelry. And I thought, I wonder how this is going to discriminate out that iron, And so I went over the nail, and it was, about 30 on the scale there. And then I went over the lead. It was high 70s, 80s. And then I put the nail right next to the lead. And it didn't even pick up the square nail. It just picked the lead up. And I even put it on top of the lead, and I did it. And, because I love to, a lot of people put claims out there about the machines, and I love putting that to the test, and trying it. So I like both machines, and both machines work well. And I just think it's down to preference, and budget. It's all down to that as well.
Yeah, the V3i, it's a great machine. I mean, it's pretty pricey the last time I seen one.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, I'd seen a few videos on YouTube about it, and I almost bought one before I bought the GPX. And then, of course, I would have saved money if I'd bought the whites. But
V3i.
Yeah, and then, but it seemed like a really good machine.
Yeah, and I seen the video where you put the nail there, and the only good test that I've had with my Equinox in that regard, I found a war nickel that had a highly rusted square nail that was almost as big as my little finger, laying on top of that war nickel. And I could hear the war nickel. I mean, it was just singing. And, of course, I didn't hear the nail at all. And I dug down, and it was about 6 inches deep. And the first thing I seen was that big nail. And they'll do that on an AT Pro sometimes. You'll get a good signal on big iron or a nail or something other, if it's of a certain quality or what have you. And I thought, well, that may have been that nail, I guess. And then I went to move the dirt, or picked the nail up, and then I looked, and the war nickel was laying right under it. And so I was impressed with the Equinox doing that. White sponsored an event that y'all were at, Diamondville. Is that where Mark Hoover came?
Yes.
Is that where he?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where he came last year, and he didn't want to break his streak this time. I think he was so scared that he wouldn't find a bottle, so he didn't come. I'm just joking. I love you, Mark. I'm only joking. But yeah, we went up there again, and White's, I've been very impressed with them as a company. They actually brought up a prototype machine. This Diamondville area is an old gold mine, and there was a lot of gold pulled out of there, and it wasn't just a White's exclusive event you can bring. There was Equinox up there, there was MXTs, there was AT Pros, there was Fishers, but they brought up this prototype, and I was really, it's a gold machine, and maybe I shouldn't say anything because I signed an NDA, but maybe I will. But this machine, they found several pieces of gold with it.
Wow. Well, I guess we'll be hearing some stuff about that machine then. Any idea of a release date or anything on that? You got any insight on that?
Well, from what I understand, it's going to come out in September, but from what I've seen on their website, there's been a little leak. I don't know if it's by mistake, but I saw it on their website, and it's called the 24K. So I just put in there 24K in their search bar, and it pulled up the machine, and it's a good machine, and I'll be posting a video here in about 2 weeks, and you can see it. And I found my first ever piece of gold with it. Man,
congratulations. Is it a pulse machine or is it a VLF?
It's a VLF. It's a VLF, and I didn't know. I have a clue what I was doing. And a good friend of mine, Jim McCulloch, out of California, he's probably the best gold detectorist that I know. He says, "Look, come with me. Bring that machine." They took 3 of them up there, and he says, "Bring that machine." So we went over, and he says, "Just start swinging over there." And it took me about 20, 30, maybe about 40 minutes, and then I got a signal. I was scraping down the dirt and the area, and then I finally got a signal, and I was chasing this thing. And I was chasing it for about 20 minutes, and Jim's looking at me, and Steve Howard, the VP of sales, was there, and they're looking at me laughing, and I'm like, "It's right here." And they said, all right, scoop it with this plastic scoop. And I was like, it's a cup. It's not a plastic. It's like a cup. So I scoop it up, and she says, okay, run it over the coil. And I was like, nothing there. And then I dump it up. And this thing was on a slope, and it was going down the hill, and I didn't know. And I'm following this thing down the hill. And then I says, Jim, please just help me out here. Find that thing for me, will you? And so he patiently, it took him about 5 minutes, and then he found it, and it's a teeny little piece of gold, but it is the best piece of gold. I just love it, and I was just like, yeah. So you'll see that in a couple of weeks. I'll be posting that in a couple of weeks.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
That's great.
So, I'm sitting here. I was going to holler at my wife and then see what she thought about me getting a new detector. Well, another detector. So, but I think I'll let it rest for right now. I don't want to see a murder on Spreaker.
No.
Yeah, you'll be moving. You'll be moving to Idaho with us. I've got a spare bedroom. You're welcome to come over. Yeah.
Well, hold on a minute. No, I better not. I'll just wait. Of course, I had a buddy today. He wanted my Macro Racer 2, and we'd been talking on a price and everything. And of course, he traded me a few relics and then give me some money for the Racer 2. I mean, it's a great machine. Don't get me wrong, but I just wasn't using it. I bought the Equinox, and so I could tell her, "Hey, that's a good idea." I could tell her, "Hey, I sold that one where I could get another." Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, it's like Goondock. He I think he's owned every metal detector on the earth. He's a really good friend of mine, and every other month he's got a new detector, and he hunts with the Equinox 800, but he's got the Macro Racer 2 with that small coil, and he pulls some good things out with that Macro Racer.
I did too. When we hunted the famous construction site, that was my main machine there. And of course, my AT Pro, it was sick at the time, and then had to get it fixed. But I was using that Racer too, and I mean, I done real well. I mean,
and he found stuff. Well, we did a test at another construction site that we got to hunt for one day, and he heard a good signal, brass signal with that Racer 2. And I had my AT Pro, and he said, "Come here and see what numbers you get on this, what it sounds like." And I couldn't get it at all. And he said, "Go get my AT Pro." And his AT Pro did get it at all. But it sounded good on the Racer 2, and pulled it up, and it was a Civil War eagle button, wasn't it, Jeff?
It sure was. Now,
wow,
it sure was.
Wow.
Now you're making me sick because I just sold the machine. Now,
Well,
I guess I could call him back and tell him.
I think the Equinox would hear that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It sure would.
I believe it would. Talking about gold, have you ever panned any, Rob?
Well, I went to a gold show, and it was a GPAA gold show, and I've never panned before. You know, I mean, last year at our event, we had a lot of gold guys up there, and one of them pulled the pan out and gave us a little lesson of it, but I was an observer, and we saw a little bit of color in there, but that was it. And so I went to this gold show, and they have this big trench, like full of water, and it's huge. It's probably like 20 feet by 6 feet, all the way around, and they give you a pan, and you just go in there, black sand, and they teach you how to. And I had so much fun, and I learned so much stuff, and I got a little bit of color, and you know, they teach you how to move it, and you get this sniffer bottle. Well, you're supposed to put some water in this thing, and then and then you squirt it out, and then you suck it in. Well, I was squirting the gold everywhere. So, but by the end of it, I finally got the hang of it. But it's addictive. I was there about an hour, and you're only supposed to be there about 10 minutes. But I think because I'm English, they were scared of me.
They were like, he's from somewhere else. We don't need to mess with him now.
Yeah, he talks funny and looks funny, so don't bother him. So, but yeah,
it's kind of we've got a saying around our parts here. We'll say you're not from around here. That's what they were saying. They were afraid to tell you to go anywhere. Me and Jeff got in the creek last week and did a little bit of gold prospecting, didn't we, Jeff? Kind of a change of pace.
Yeah, and had a great time, and we did find a little bit of gold. I mean, not enough to make us rich, but we did find a little bit. And of course, actually, the best thing, we found a good. It was a grist mill, and we found the foundation of it while we were in the creek. And so I'm looking forward to going back to detect that spot. But yeah, we did find a little bit of gold, and then Seven, he'd already went a couple of times before I could get up there and go with him. And of course, he went out and bought a sluice, and of course, he was all into it. Found his first piece of gold before I was there, and I was like, "Man, I got to get up there in this creek with him." And so we really had a good time.
Hey guys, we got a caller on Swansea. What's going on tonight?
Hey, Loy and Jeff, how are you guys?
We're
Hello,
great.
Swan.
I got a couple of questions for Rob. First off, Rob, I wanted to say you've been a great guest, and I wanted to tell you that I have a hell of a time still with those little snuffer bottles, trying to get the gold out of the gold pan while there's still water in there. I swear to God, it shoots out more than it sucks in.
yeah.
I've tried 3 different ones, and I swear to God, it was me.
And try and do like an Englishman with it too. I mean, we don't have gold over there like that, so it's very confusing.
Y'all don't need gold over there. You got hammered Cohens, don't they, Swansea? They don't need any gold.
That's where the second half of this was coming in. And now he's in the United States, and I'm fortunate enough to live in New England, Rob, so I've got the oldest stuff in the country that I can dig out of the ground. If you pulled out a 1700s coin in the United States, picked it up and said, yeah, there's no reason to keep this, and toss it back in the bushes, what do you do when you find our relics? It's got to be pretty disappointing.
Well, I was just speaking with Seven and Jeff earlier. I'm new to the history of America, and I love it. And if you watch my videos, a lot of people watch it and they're like, "Oh, he's getting excited over a horseshoe." That doesn't. I just love digging that history, and oxen shoe. They're pretty rare in Idaho. There's not a lot of those over there. But believe it or not, I've never found an 1800s or older coin, and that's my goal this year, is to find an 1800s coin. I found a 1905 Indian head penny, but I just find a lot of relics, and I just love that.
Well, y'all do.
Well, I'll tell you, you're going to fit in. I didn't understand a word you said because you said it in English, but not in American. But eventually, being that you live in the Midwest, you'll pick up the accent eventually. And I can't wait to hear a Midwest accent done with an English accent combination. That's going to be amusing.
Oh, that is going to be great.
Yeah,
Maybe I should put dude on the end of that. Maybe dude.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back on an anniversary show a year from this date right here. And Swansea, we'll see if that accent's changed any.
You're going to have to make sure you post that everywhere on Facebook, because I'm going to have to listen to that one. There's got to be some change from this proper English thing that we don't know of in the United States. He's going to get rid of using real words and go to the American slang words eventually. He hasn't done it yet, because I haven't heard him say anything American yet. Eventually he'll get there. But I want also to see on video the first time he finds his 1800s coin or the 1700s coin. And you might have to make a trip with Loy and Jeff to come up into New England and do this. It's going to have to change your mind on what you think of relics and what you find in the United States. But I love the fact that you're passionate about the United States history, being in this country. I love listening to you talk on the radio, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, brother.
Hey, thanks, Swansea. Appreciate the call. Sure do. And I knew that everybody was going to love to hear you talk tonight, Rob. I sure did. Hey, guys, we are coming up here on another hard break, and we need to run another commercial, if I can get it up here, and we will be right back. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, Tesoro, and macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for MineLab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim is your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses it, and so he can answer any questions you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 and be sure and tell him Relics Radio sent you. And hey guys, we got another caller on. Last numbers are 2800. Who we got and what's your question?
Mr. Lloyd, this is Joe Davidson. How you doing?
Hey, Okie, what's going on?
Oh, nothing, man. Just living the dream, buddy. Same as you. How's life treating you?
Oh, it's treating me good. I was going to get to, because I know that you hunted with Spud Digger here. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was just listening to him talking about how excited he gets over a horseshoe, and that's kind of how we got to know each other and ended up hunting together. Man, I'd watch his videos when he first started. I remember him digging up a big old hubcap, and man, I never seen anybody. I mean, you know me, you and I have hunted together, and I get crazy excited about stuff when anything. But man, Rob is super passionate about digging, and it's a lot of fun hunting with him. I remember over at Diamondville, it was the second time we hunted over there together. We were on each side of a canyon. I don't know if you remember this, Rob.
I do.
Okay. So we were on the backside of this big, deep canyon, and I'm probably, 150 yards away from him at least. I'm on the other side of the canyon up on a big hill, and it's the thickest, nastiest brush that you could ever swing in. And I just kept hearing, Rob, and I can't imitate your accent. I'm sorry, man. But I just kept hearing, says, I got another button. And he dug in that hole. I don't know, man. You dug in there at least an hour, just button after suspender clip. And, man, I never seen anybody have so much fun.
So, well, talking about Diamondville with Okie there, I'm not inviting anybody else up to Diamondville until I find a coin, a token. Now, I found Chinese coins up there. I have found the most Chinese coins up there. I've got to brag about that. But Okie comes up, and he's swinging his fancy dais, and he's like, look at me, and he's up on this area, and he says, hey, I've just found a token. Hey, and he finds all this stuff, and then he slips down some pine needles and loses one of the tokens. Well, we were all laughing, right? And he tells us where it is. And then we have our event, and I tell all the guys, look, Okie was out here. He lost his token. He thinks it's over there. Please find it.
I put a bounty on that. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. And he says, if anybody finds it, they can keep it. I just want it found. And it was a pretty old token from Idaho City. And then he comes out again, and he finds, I was speaking American there. He finds.
See, I'm rubbing off.
You are, Jeff. He finds his token that he loses. And I have this little honey hole that I go to. So I take Okie over there, and I take him. I says, look, this is my honey hole. When I'm getting a little bit frustrated with the tin and all them, I come over here and I'll find a Chinese coin. I'll find a suspender clasp. Well, he walks up, and a swing, he pulls out like a really ornate brooch that is just beautiful with silver and some kind of stone thing. And I'm just like, get away from my honey hole. You remember that, man. Joe?
Oh, dude, I remember that. It's definitely one of my favorite hunts of all time, man. I got all my finds from Diamondville on a display case, and I look at it all the time, man. I love that. That was some good times. That was definitely the best hunting that I've had, and one of my best favorite hunts in the last year, definitely.
And I seen on one of your videos, Rob, you were in that area and you were talking about, you said, now there was Oki's hot spot right over there, and you were pointing it out.
Yeah.
Oh, I told him. Yeah. We took the rakes after that place, and we raked about a foot. We were at least a foot of pine needles, it seemed like, off that spot. And I challenged Rob before that last event that he had. I said, "Man, if you find a coin in there, I'll give you a $20 bill." And
I found a rusty old nail.
Yeah,
but no, we pounded that spot pretty good. That was a great spot that you have there.
And for all the listeners, we're joking that Rob is not a redneck, but they used a little bit of redneck ingenuity because they found one of the old flat mops that had, it's not a mop like with all the strings hanging off of it. It's like one of the little waxing mops that had a rag or something on it, and y'all was using that scraping the ground, wasn't you?
I was. Actually, I found this magnet from Home Depot, and it almost looks like a squeegee that you put on your car, and I put because there's so much tin up there, and I put a microfiber cloth around it, and I would just kind of like freestyle where I just have my pinpointer, and I'd have that thing, and I'd scrape it over, and I'd get the tin stuck to it, and I'd get my pinpointer in a little bit, and get something big, and then this is cool, and then I'd scrape it again, and all the iron and the tin would stick to it, and then it's very easy to brush it off with the microfiber cloth on there.
Yeah. And talking about tokens, Joe never had found any tokens before he went to Idaho, had you, Joe?
No, that kind of goes back to when I first detected. I mean, that was my first find that I ever made was an Indian Territory token. And that was back when I was in junior high, and I've been addicted to tokens ever since. I'd rather find a token than anything else.
I've got a Washington tax token on my relic case that you found, that you gave me whenever you and J.L. Digger came to Kentucky and hunted with me. And, I love tokens, but I'd say you're the token king on especially the Washington State tax tokens.
Well, come on up here to Washington. You find about as many of them as you find pull tabs almost. I mean, them tax tokens are everywhere. Yeah, I think any person that hunts in this state, I wouldn't doubt that they find 25 a year at least. I mean, this state's loaded with them tax tokens.
Hey, both of you guys, at Diamondville or those places that y'all are hunting out there, is elevation a problem with fatigue and stuff like that with the elevation?
No, it's just your belly. Just your belly, Seven.
Yeah, it's my belly.
Just your belly. That's the problem. It gets in the way of walking up the hills.
Well, we're out of luck, Seven.
I know it. We're not quite wide pride yet, but we're getting in that area,
Yeah, we're trying to grow up and be like them.
We're talking about Heath Jones and Butch Holcomb. They just got some shirts made wide pride on the front, and on the back it says we're kind of a big deal. And Heath and them had a show the other night, and if you called in, you got a T-shirt because Ken and Mark Guthrie are making shirts for them and going to make shirts for us. And so I called in, and there was a debacle, Jeff. I don't even know if you know about it, but I had been recording some stuff up here and had my board switched a little bit. and I couldn't hear anything through the headphones. And I was talking, and I was going, break, test. What's the matter with this thing? And it's all coming out on their show, and I couldn't hear them. And so then I had to log into History Seekers and pull their audio off and fix all that and put it back on. Heath was about to kill me, but I got my shirt anyway.
Oh, that would have made the show. That would have been hilarious. I would have just left.
Oh yeah, they called you an honorary member, didn't they? Well,
yeah.
You're an honorary member of the Wide Pride.
I'm an honorary member of the Wide Pride. Yes, I am.
Right on. Well, hey, I can get off here and let you guys get on the show. I just wanted to call and say hi to Rob and you, and hey Jeff, I haven't met you yet, but maybe someday.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Joe, good to hear from you. Joe used to call me, Rob, when he'd get in a traffic jam. phone would ring during the day, and it would be Joe, and he'd say, I'm stuck in traffic here, and I just thought I'd call you and catch up and see what's going on. So traffic must be flowing pretty good, because I hadn't heard from you for a while.
No, it's not. It's getting worse. I need to call you up in that next traffic jam, probably tomorrow afternoon. I'll be stuck in it again.
Well,
but I need to call you and catch up.
Yeah, you do. And good to hear from you. I talk to J.L. Digger every now and then. Not much, but looking forward to all of us getting back together sometime.
Yeah, I'm shooting for CWPPO in October, so that's my goal anyway.
That's what me and Jeff are talking about is CWPPO. So maybe we'll all hook up there and get some of those Ohio people, find some of them Ohio Wheaties that they find up there, those large scents.
Boy, I tell you, them Ohio Wheaties are everywhere. I never seen such a place.
And we need to go up there and congratulate the new married couple.
That's right. Evan and Sam got married and had a metal detector wedding, and that was special. But and I don't know if y'all have heard this or not, but there was somebody that came up that didn't want anybody metal detecting and almost crashed that wedding party because they thought that they were all out there metal detecting.
No kidding.
That's the story that I got. I if there's some of y'all out there that know more about it or something other, you can call in and fill us in but good to talk to you, Joe, and we appreciate the call.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. I enjoy the show every week, and keep up good work, guys. And Rob, I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Joe.
All right, bye, guys.
And Mark Hoover, you need to call in. This is your catch here, and I know that Rob would love to hear from you, wouldn't you, Rob?
I would love to talk to Mark again. It would be great.
Mark's a good talker. We're talking about metal detecting at the wedding. Of course, Jennifer and I, we got married at it was a local house here. It's called Craig Font, and it's a historical home built in early 1800s. It survived the Civil War and everything, and it's state property now. And then, of course, the guy that oversees it, he was like, you can metal detect anytime you want to. And I don't really think he knew the laws very well, so I was like, and I was going to bring out the metal detector during our wedding, and I was like, man, I better not. I don't want a felony during my wedding night. So I just left it in the truck. So.
Hey, guys, Mark Hoover is in the house. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, Lloyd. Hey, Jeff. And hey, Rob.
Hello, Mark.
And my brother.
And Denny is in the house, too. So we got everybody on.
Well, hello.
Hi there, y'all.
Go ahead, Mark.
Denny, it's good to hear you as well. Well, I was just going to say, since I'm Rob's agent, I just want to make sure you guys are taking good care of him.
That's right. That's right.
You're in trouble, Rob.
Yes, I am.
Did he okay this through you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm really thrilled that you guys got Rob on there. I did get a chance to go out there last year, not this year, and it was killing me not to be able to go, and I hope to go back at some point in the future, but it is an absolutely wonderful place to hunt, and especially hunting with Rob and all the guys that come out and the folks that do that. I just had an absolutely delightful time, and Rob and the crew that he hunts with are so gracious, and when we went out there, they brought a camper out and they cooked some of the best food you've ever eaten. And we just had a great time of fellowship and digging all the way around. So, Rob, kudos to you. You are an amazing ambassador for the hobby. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate getting to know you a little bit. And I do consider you a brother, and I hope we continue that friendship for a very long time.
Thanks, brother. Thank you very much.
Man, that's great. That's great. That's really great. And then I'm ready to go detecting. Mark mentioned food, and it sounded like it was really good. So,
and I'd say they had all kind of potatoes up there in Idaho too. What's going on with you tonight, Denny?
Oh, I was just reading the chat here. Jesse Rogers wanted to know if you're a redneck if you got a metal detector in your truck. I said, well, at the wedding, we all metal detected, and we all had them in our trucks. And in fact, the bride and groom had to metal detect up their rings. Their rings were buried.
That's right.
If you watch the videos on YouTube or on Facebook, there's several of them on there, and they show them digging them up. It was a great wedding. God blessed us at that moment, and it did not rain. After that, Katie barred the door.
Well, fill us in on the story. Was there a gainsayer that came in and threw a fuss over all that?
Well, sort of. What happened is we were out hunting this old school in a very old state-owned property. Now the school, I gather, was not on that property. And Sam who was the bride, Sam Walters, had permission to hunt there, so and she got permission for the rest of us to hunt there. And I'm thinking, boy, this is real near state property. I'm not even sure we're supposed to be here, but we were out there digging up stuff. And a Civil War cavalry button was actually found in that schoolyard. It was a cuff button. It was pretty cool. So there were a lot of things found out there. But just when we were getting ready for the wedding, somebody rolls up in a, I don't know, golf cart or something or other, and there was a lady in there, and that stopped the metal detecting in that yard for the rest of the day, and for the rest of the 3 days, in fact. So that's what happened, as far as I know.
Well, I'd heard something like that.
Yeah, it was just a kind of a misunderstanding, and it was the proper thing to do. I didn't feel right to be even digging in that area. It looked like a golf course out there. But in all reality, all the people we had digging out there, you could not see a spot where anybody dug. They did a very professional job of digging. So I was very happy with everyone that metal detected that area.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, that is good.
Yep. Well, I just had to throw that in. I wanted to ask Rob, do you ever use a probe out west in Idaho?
Only when I go through the TSA.
What was that? I didn't get that.
He said only when he goes through the TSA when they're checking him for weapons and stuff.
Do you ever hunt cavalry camps out there, Rob?
You know, I've heard there's quite a few out here, and you know, not knowing much about the American history, I've really relied on the desert rats. And sometimes he'll take us out, and there's just a piece of dirt with a kind of a ring around it, and we're like, I don't think this is it. And then sometimes he takes us, and there's some fantastic things. But I was able to get this permission. I do a little bit of swimming, and a buddy that I swim with, he owns the property, and he's like, and I was having lunch with him, and he says, I says, yeah, I'm metal detector a little bit. He says, oh yeah, we have a gold mine, just casual, yeah, we have a gold mine. There's about 2,000 people lived up there back from the 1860s. And my eyes are like, he looked at me because my eyes are like wide open. And I was like, well, do you think we could go up there? He said, yeah, I'll give you a key. You go up anytime you want. And it's like an hour and a half away. And we're just like, okay. So we haven't really looked anywhere else, but I'd love to find just like the history is really captivating for me, and just wondering where it came from and who used it and what's their life story and how did they come about being in the middle of this field? You know, I mean, there's nothing around, and then you just pull out some interesting find. It's a fantastic hobby.
I know for a fact that Idaho, and that's where you're hunting, there were cavalry camps, and there were gold coins found in those cavalry camps. Probably from Georgia gold coins, because it was early in the gold coin era. So that would be the Honga, I forget what that's called in Georgia. That's where the first gold coins were minted in the United States, not out in Colorado and wherever, California. So,
and you know, guys,
I do know there were a lot of gold coins found in Idaho.
And that'd be great to come up on one of them. But isn't it refreshing to hear an outsider, someone from England that has come to our country and is so passionate about our history, and yet we have so many people that live in our country that could care less about our history. I don't know about y'all, but it's just refreshing to me.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, you know, this hobby does it to you. When I was in high school history, I could care less about history. And when I got my first, Fisher 1266, then I was hunting for nails and horseshoes, Rob, in logs.
Yay!
Mill. Yeah, we had a sawmill here, and we looked for guys that would throw a horseshoe in the crotch of a tree. So, and then they'd bring it into us, and so rather than messing up about 30 teeth that cost $35 each, I bought a metal detector to find those items. So, and we found horseshoes and bullets and you name it. So,
wow.
That's how I got into history, and the more, and I think. And you know, the younger people are getting into the hobby, and I'm so glad to see that. And I think the history is going to go on from there. It's pretty cool.
That's
well,
right.
If I could
go ahead, Rob.
If I could just do a little segue there. You know, I came over here as a English citizen, and you know, married an American, and you know, I mean, she's okay for being an American, and we. That was a joke, by the way, just to let you know, honey, if you're listening. But, you know, and I really thought about becoming a citizen. And, you know, before I did, you know, because that's an important step to become a citizen of another country, I went to Boston and I did the Freedom Trail, and I really looked at the history of the place, and went over to Williamsburg and you know, all that area. And I spent a lot of time back east just looking at the history and to feel what the colonials went through, you know, and to feel the passion for the country, you know, and I became a citizen after that. And I really wish that people don't take the citizenship of the country we live in for granted, because it's a very important thing.
You know, that's exactly right, because I have a good friend, and she was a Canadian, and then she became a citizen of the United States. And, of course, I knew her when she was doing this. She was going through, like, the test and stuff, and she knew more about our history than, I mean, my kids did that were going to school here in the United States. So, I mean, it helps out. Like, you have these people coming over from other countries, and they will know more about our history than other people. So,
you know, Rob, where you were at Williamsburg, if you'd have went north, maybe 15 miles from there, there's a town called West Point, and that's not where the academy's at, and that's where the Indian, who am I trying to think of, Loy?
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas was from, and who was Captain Smith? Came across from England, and it was real close to Williamsburg. That's where they landed at. Pocahontas, I think, pretty sure that was Pocahontas and Captain Smith. Yeah. They got married or wanted to get married or something. So that's your neck of the woods, Rob.
yeah, that's awesome. I live in Boise, Idaho now, so it's kind of a little bit further. It's more Lewis and Clark over here than Captain Smith, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know where we hunted at? That guy invited us up to his house. I found him on the internet, and he invited us to his house. And they had a Civil War camp there. And my buddy found a spur, Richmond spur, in the yard. And I just went to the firing range. They had a firing range, and we found 3-ringers just on a hillside, and not that far from where you were at. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Williamsburg is really cool. If anybody ever goes there, you want to go from Richmond and take the old river road and go south. And there's so many great big mansions from the Civil War still standing. It's great. Don't take the highway, take the back roads. Best way to go, down to Williamsburg.
And that's one thing, like when we go to Virginia, I just like to get out and ride back roads. And you see a lot of old homesteads that's still standing and a lot of old mills. And, I mean, you don't see a lot of that here in Tennessee. I mean, riding the old back roads is a pretty good thing.
There's a lot of history in Virginia. There's no doubt about it, I'll tell you. Hey, Mark.
But you know, every time I go over a creek or a river on a bridge in Tennessee, I always think if I lived there, I'd be checking all 4 corners of that bridge or on the land and find where the picket posts were at. And there was there was at least 1 or 2 at every bridge. So, man, if I was in Tennessee, that's where I'd be hunting.
Yeah, if you can get on them sometimes, that's the deal.
Well, it just takes a lot of legwork, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Mark,
nothing's in life.
No, it's not. You're still on, and I wanted to ask you about what your impressions were of Diamondville whenever you went.
You talking to me?
Well, Loy,
I was talking to Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. So, hey, Denny. Yeah. So, well, Diamondville. You know, I did the research too, and what was interesting. Rob mentioned that bottle that I found, and of course, it is one of my favorite finds that I tell people about. And what was interesting about Diamondville, there were thousands of people in that area back in the late 1800s because of the gold mining. And then there was a fire that went through there. Rob, you can correct me. I want to say it was in the early 1930s, and it burned down the entire town. And so for anything to survive, we would find pieces of glass that were actually melted, that you could tell were melted from the fire. So some of these bottles that survived that Rob found and that I found, you know, were able to either be buried or covered up and were not destroyed by the fire. And I don't think there's probably more than maybe 50 people that live in the nearest town. But I'll tell you, that is one of the coolest places to hunt. There's an old, there was an old school there. There was an old one-room hospital. I've got pictures of it. There's a bed with a bed frame with a tree growing through it. I actually found pieces of an old stove, and some of them were so heavy I couldn't bring them back, so I took certain pieces and brought them back with me. I even found a gold miner's pick, and it was so heavy I couldn't bring it back with me, so I gave it to my hunting buddy that I was hunting with that day, and sometimes I regret not bringing it back, but I'm really glad he got it. But I will tell you that I considered myself blessed to be invited to go out there, and I definitely want to go back. And Rob, I'm going to tell you something right now. You don't know this, but I just got invited to a 340-acre old gold mine in Montana, and you're welcome to come with us if we go.
I think I'm going to have to get one of those White's machines.
One of the 24Ks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, when we're looking, I'll certainly reach out to you, but a similar story to you, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he knows about metal detecting or knows about my adventures, and he said, "Oh, by the way, I'm a partner in a 340-acre property up in Montana that used to be an old gold mine back in the early 1900s. You want to come metal detect it?" And I said, you won't have to ask me twice.
Yeah, that's automatic. Well, yeah.
Yep. Hey, Rob, with your love of American history, and it really is different because a lot of metal detectorists, like you said, all they're interested in is coins. And even us relic hunters, we get a little bit selective sometimes about what we find. We want to find the better stuff and everything. So I think it'd be an interesting question to ask you. What is your favorite relic that you've ever found in the country here?
Oh, whew. So I'm just going to go off the last Diamondville trip. If I could just share, the videos are going to come. I'm a little bit behind on posting my videos, and so you're going to have next about 2 weeks where I find that gold piece, and then I find this stone that looks like a doorknob, and I was like, I've got a signal, and it ran up, in the brass area, 55, 60, and I thought that's probably casing, and I'm digging, and I pull this thing out, and it's a stone, and it's beautiful, and it is like the nicest doorknob I've ever seen. It's got a little bit of brass inside of the doorknob, and you'll see that in a couple of weeks on the video, and it is like, wow. And that was my favorite find. And then there's a guy from Seattle called James who, I tell you, he finds a period token from that diamond. We call it Diamondville to protect the site. Because, we don't like sharing our permissions, right? Even though I share it with 30, 40 people at a time. And he finds a token, and from what we gather, there's only 3 that have ever been found that we think of. But when we were looking, we think it's the only one that's been found. And that'll be out in about a month, that video. And so we have a contest. Oh, and this is one thing. If I could share, there's a lady called Lady Blumen. She's part of the Spud Digger group, and the Fennec Fox and the Red Badger. Those 3 guys are just fantastic. But this lady goes over to the old rock house, and they're digging and they're scraping, and she finds an 1852 large cent.
Wow.
With an Ace 250.
Yeah.
Man, that's good.
That is
really
a great find.
And here I am with it. I'm with my MXT. I've got an MXT as well, and I've got a V3i, and I'm swinging, and I'm finding doorknob, which I love. And then these guys are, hey, look at this token. I was like, yeah, I'm going to kill you. Look at this 1852.
Hey, Rob.
It was fantastic.
Rob, with my Ace 250 in 2006, I found over 4,000 clad coins and 300 silver coins and a 6-pound cannonball. With an Ace
what?
So, AT pros, you ain't got nothing on an Ace 250. You just got to learn your machine. I could tell you at one time what a silver dime. If I dug a silver dime, I could tell you it was a silver dime from a clad dime with an Ace 250.
It's just all about learning your machine. There's no doubt about it.
That's exactly. And learning the sounds. Not worry about the meter. Just learn the sounds.
Yep.
Yes, and that's the key, is the sounds. I get a little bit, not upset, but, a lot of people that don't give their metal detector a chance. I mean, you're like, take your time, slow it down, learn the machine, and just give it a chance. Don't, this isn't finding anything. I'm going to go get me an XYZ on ABC. Look, just give it a chance. There's a lot of good machines out there, and just give them a chance.
And that is good advice. You need to learn your machine and just slow down. There's not a better, tip that you can give a newcomer than to slow down, keep that coil on the ground, move it slow, listen to the sounds, and, a lot of times don't worry about what the meter says. I have dug a lot of good stuff, and Jeff has too, that meter-wise didn't look good. In fact, one of my cut reals on an AT Pro rang up a 35, and that's getting close down into the nail range. But it was just the way it was laying. It was a cut real. It had some iron around it and everything, but I could hear that good repeatable signal. It was a 35, but I dug it anyway, So, yeah, give them a chance. See what the machine's telling you.
That's what it takes. I mean, my first Civil War belt buckle, it sounded like a big piece of iron, and of course there were so many square nails around it, and of course it was kind of masking it, and of course it sounded terrible, but I dug it anyway, and it turned out to be a good find.
I like the ones that sound like a bullet, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
I dug enough square nails to build everybody in here a house.
I have to.
You both.
Yeah.
I have to.
Hey, Dig and Chick wanted to know if Rob could dig any place on the planet, where would it be?
Well, after I've dug with Mark Hoover in Montana, it's got to be England. Or Ireland. I lived in Ireland for a couple of years, but I think I'd love to go back to the home country and just find some a hammered coin would be lovely, but just find some stuff. To me, it's not about what I find; it's who I'm with, and it's the adventure, and it's the friendships, and it's just getting out and just having a good laugh, and just, you find some cool things and it's great, but it's just the whole community that I love.
That was Diggin' Canuck that asked that. I guess it's a Canadian, eh?
Yeah.
Maybe Canada as well. Beautiful place. Montreal is beautiful.
And
I think Rob wants to come to Florida.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Rob really wants to come to Florida to hunt up with us down in Florida.
Dig the alligators.
Hey, I'm going to have to drop, but hey, it was great talking with you, Rob. It's great to hear your voice. I look forward to seeing you. And Danny, good to hear you as well. And Loy and Jeff, thank you very much. Another great show, and I look forward to talking with you guys again.
Hey,
Mark. Thanks again, brother.
Hey, Mark, thank you so much. Mark has been our booking agent. He has got us some really, really good guests. And, we're booked up right now, Mark, to the 1st of August or the 2nd of August. And so you need to get your nose to the grindstone and find us another good one. You got a winner here tonight again, and we certainly do appreciate you and the friends that you have helped bring on to the show. They've made the show.
Sure have.
Yeah.
Rob, I had a question. How easy do you think it's going to be when you go back to England to get permission in these spots to dig?
Oh, well, I'm going to share a story that's not related to metal detecting, and then you'll understand my answer after that. So I married my wife, and several years later, we went over with 2 of our daughters, and I had this Marriott vacation thing, and we had 3 nights right on the River Thames in the nicest hotel, and it's right near the London Eye. It's a Marriott right there, and we get the red eye. We get off the plane. We go in the hotel, and we say, "Oh yes, Mr. Johnson, you're all posh, and I'm just like tired, and I've got kids. One's young and one's 6, and I'm just like." Your room won't be ready for several hours. So we walk around, and I go back in, and the lady says, "Yes, your room's still not ready." I says, "Oh, can you hurry up, man? I'm bloody knackered." Like that, right? And my English came out, and she looked at me and she says, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Newcastle." Said, "Oh, I thought you were American. We'll have your room ready in 20 minutes. the bad thing is when I go over to England, I sound American. So they're going to probably think I'm some crazy American coming over there looking for all the gold. So I'm probably not going to get any permissions. But when I'm over here in America, I sound like I'm not American. So I'm a man without a country. That's all I can say.
So you have a hard time, evidently.
Yes.
Great story, I tell you. You won't have any problem. You come into our neck of the woods, everybody would just fall in love with you, I tell you, wouldn't they, Jeff?
Oh, yeah, they sure would. All they do is just talk. And then, can you talk while you metal detect? And you can metal detect anywhere you want to.
I can just
say, like, Lloyd, he used to be a sheriff and then, sheriff's deputy. And then, of course, that's where he gets all his permissions from being a cop. So you'd have more permissions than he does.
I can just see Rob there with Mr. Stone. Mr. Stone has got he's got an old farm that's got a lot of colonial relics on it, and he is just a great guy. He's bush hogged places for us where we thought that would be a good place to hunt, and he'll come out and hunt with us, and he'll just, anytime that we hunt there, if you listen to our videos, you'll hear him talking in the background, and I just know that you and him would hit it off so well.
Oh, they sure would. Even Will Johnson, when he come down, of course, Mr. Stone told him. Of course, Mr. Stone, he has the knack. He knows if you're a good person or not. I mean, he can tell, and a lot of people can. But a great buddy of ours from California, Will Johnson, he come down and hunted with Seven and I, and he even Mr. Stone told him, said, "Well, when you come back, bring your wife, and you can stay in the old home here." And of course, it's a real nice home. I mean, it was built in 1839, and I mean, it's still kept up, and I mean, it's just like a vacation home for him and his family. So, but he letting them stay there on the property, and I mean, he's a real great guy.
He sure is. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Rob.
Sounds like a beautiful place.
Oh, it is, and it's a wonderful place to hunt, and we are very fortunate to have Mr. Stone as a friend of ours, and to have that permission. There's no doubt about it. Very, very fortunate to be able to hunt there. What one tip would you give to new people that are getting into the hobby now?
Ooh. So I'm just going to share my experience, how I got into it, and maybe pull a tip from that. So I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and then I looked at my budget. I think sometimes we get a little bit carried away with the people with the very expensive machines, and and I looked at my budget, and I just set a budget, and then I found a place that I bought it from, and that's it. So the tip I would do is just set a budget and do your research.
Just kind of keep it easy at first.
Keep it easy, yeah, and then dig every signal. I think sometimes we watch these people, and there's a lot of people who are out there pulling out silvers right, left, and center, and 60 and hundreds this, and colonial this, and I'm just like, oh, I just found a wheatback, and I found 27 ring poles, and I think you've got to dig every signal to know how your machine reacts, and as the chap said earlier, he knew the difference between a regular dime and a silver dime just by the sound on that Ace 250. And I'm not plugging the Ace 250s. There's a lot of machines out there, but that's the one I started with. And just take your time, dig every signal, and then join a group. It's good going out with a group of people and join a club and go to the events and start a YouTube channel. So James, the one who found the token, he started a YouTube channel called Tough Run Metal Detecting, and he is great. He has passion, and he goes out at 4 a.m. in the morning, and he just digs. And I'm sure he's going to get arrested by somebody from stalking, like in the middle of a field with his headlight on, and and he digs with Oki occasionally, but we have a contest every time at Diamondville. And Pam, who is the chef, and I've moved on from that tip, so I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
So Pam, who's the chef, she goes up. She doesn't metal detect, but the desert rat is her husband, and she cooks the fantastic, as Mark said, fantastic food, and she chooses the winner of the grand prize. Of our sponsors give us stuff and stuff like that to give away, and so James won it last year. Okay, he found some horse bridle that was just beautiful. So I'm there, and I'm digging right next to him in this like privy area, and I find an old lock and a wood splitter, and he pulls out a fork, a silver-plated fork, and it's the first one he's ever found, and he's like, "Oh, this is sweet," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's sweet," and we get to the contest, and guess who wins it? James with the silver fork. And I'm sure there was some fixings going on there, but it was like such a hoot. And he won all this white swag, and he's a good guy. So if you have a chance, I'm going to, if I may, just recommend his channel. He's a good guy, and he has a lot of passion for the
sure. Put it out there.
Tough Run Metal Detecting.
It is what?
You see, I told you need a translator.
Mark is gone, so you'll have to slow down and say it one more time.
Tough Run Metal Detecting.
Okay.
Just Run Metal Detecting.
Tough, like hey, I'm a tough lad. I'm hard. I'm tough.
Oh, tough.
Oh, Tough Run Metal Detecting. Oh,
okay.
Okay.
You see, I'm a man without a country.
Well, you've got a country now. You're very welcome in our country.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
We love your passion. And that's what attracted me to watch your videos. And I remember one of the first videos that you put out, you had I don't know if it was a contest or just a challenge or something for people to guess what part of the country that you, or guess where you lived. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and, I just like having fun, and I put it out there, and I said, have a guess where I'm from. And it was, I think it was 100 subscriber, 200 subscriber contest. And I said, just for fun, it's just, you're still going to be entered, but have a guess where I'm from. And I got some very interesting things. And I don't show myself on video because I don't care. I mean, people don't care how I look. They want to see what we find, and a friend of mine said, hey, Rob, people would be interested just to see your face occasionally so that you can be here. I said, come on, so I tried that a little bit, and people, I think I lost more subscribers than I gained, so I haven't done that again, but yeah, I just,
And then we messed up. We messed up and put your picture on the promo. But we've had a lot of people. Yeah, we've had a lot of people in here tonight, so that didn't hurt you any.
Yeah, it did. Gary Hickman had a question. Rob, do you ever get up towards Murray? It's where the dredge went through.
Murray, Utah?
Yeah. I guess that's what he's talking about.
I haven't. I'm in Utah right now. There's a coin show going on tomorrow that I'm just going to be hanging around at. But I've only metal detected in Sandy area. I have this little honey hole. It's a little playground, and you guys in Utah, leave it alone. It's where I go when I've only got an hour. Okay, but I've pulled out, I think, 2 or 3 gold rings, platinum ring, earrings, loads of clad. And this thing is only about maybe 30 feet across, and it's got the wood chips in there, and it's a really nice little place, but that's the only place I've detected in Utah. And St. George.
You find any St. George? Find anything there?
St. George, yeah, I found a couple of Chinese coins and about 5,000 square nails to put that house together.
What are the dates on those Chinese coins that y'all find?
The oldest one that I've found, and I'm not very good at identifying them. There's a guy called Mark Feil, I think his name is Phefeil, I believe his last name is, and he identifies them very, very well. But I got one about 1740, but it doesn't count for my 1800s gold because it has to say 18 something on it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, he ranged at about 1740s.
Well, see, that's something that I never have found is a Chinese coin, and I'd like to find one of those. I guess you could say that'd be on my bucket list. But they worked with the railroad, and then they worked a lot in the mining industry, and a lot of people don't know it. But whenever the gold panners first went out in the rush of 1849, they just had straight side pans, and then it was the Chinese that figured out that they could put ripples in one side of the pan and catch the gold and the heavies, and then everybody picked up on it. So they were industrious. Wow. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's great. I love watching your history. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. I knew we hunted this old home site. Of course, me and another friend, we hunted it, and I was digging these Chinese coins. I was like, man, these are cool. I'd never dug any, and I think I got 5 or 6 of them. And then, of course, they had this little attachment piece on them, and of course, I was like, well, what's that? What's that on there for? Come to find out, it was like a bracelet that went around, and it just like little Chinese. There wasn't really Chinese coins. It was just a part of a bracelet.
That's a bummer right there, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Denny, you got any parting comments before we close the show out tonight?
No, it was really good, great show. I really enjoyed listening to Rob. I love his accent, and love to go to England with him sometime. I know Butch and Anita are going over that way, so that'd be cool. I'd have to take my Deus over there if I went and went over there.
I'd love to. I'd love to hunt England, and I actually have an opportunity to go there. I'm not going to be able to do it, but I have been asked to go, and I wish that I could work it out, but just can't do it. But I'd love to dig that old history, and I can understand Rob wanting to go back and dig his history of the country from which, he was born and came from. And that would be special, Rob. And Rob, we have certainly enjoyed having you on. You have been a wonderful guest. We've kept you on here we're in free baseball, Butch Holcomb says. But we certainly do appreciate it, don't we, Jeff?
We sure do, and we appreciate all the listeners and everybody, all the guys that's called in tonight. So this show is for you guys.
Yeah, and in the chat, and I hope that we picked up some British listeners tonight too. Rob will give a shout out to your mother. You can send her a link to the show, and she can listen to the archive, because I'd say it's in the middle of the night where she lives right now. But she can listen to the archive, and we'll give a shout-out to her.
Thank you very much, Mom. Love ya.
And we do. We love your boy. I tell you, we do. And, guys, I put a link in the description on this program here tonight, on this episode, that gives you Spud Digger's YouTube channel, also gives you his personal Facebook channel. They also have a Spud Diggers group page. You can go and check that out. And we always say it, and I'll say it again tonight, if you like podcasts that deal with metal detecting, be sure and check out Beyond Sight and Sound with Josh Kimmel on Sunday and Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. Check out American Digger Relic Roundup on Monday night at 9 o'clock. All Metal Mode Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. History Seekers is on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, and then Hardcore Metal Detecting is on Thursdays and Saturdays, and both of those times are 8 p.m. And we certainly do appreciate you being on with us tonight, and we will see you next Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with Seven or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.